The film opens with a story told like a TV show about a haunted hospital. It was once a mental asylum where patients were supposed to be treated. Instead, a man named Dr. Richard conducted dangerous experiments, murdering his patients. One day, all the patients decided to escape, but Dr. Richard's special mechanisms locked all the doors and windows, trapping them inside. The patients, in a desperate act, set the hospital on fire. Both Dr. Richard and all his patients died in the blaze, but 5 of his staff members managed to escape. From that day on, the hospital was known as the House of Haunt, a place no one could survive in, not even for a day. A woman named Lauren, watching this show from her bathtub, immediately calls her husband, Stephen. She tells him she wants to have her birthday party at the House of Haunt. We learn from their conversation that Stephen is a very wealthy man, but their relationship is strained. In fact, Lauren once tried to murder Stephen to get his money. Stephen, in the middle of a news interview for his new horror-themed amusement park, doesn't pay much attention and hangs up. During the interview, Stephen takes the anchors on a test run of one of his new rides. The lift starts fine, but suddenly drops with a loud crash. The floor is see-through, and they watch in horror as the mechanism appears to break. Everyone panics, until they realize it was all a prank. The mechanism they saw breaking was just a 3D animation on the floor. Next, they ride a roller coaster, and its bridge suddenly breaks, another prank. The horror theme of the park is a huge hit with the crowd. After the ride, Lauren calls Stephen again, insisting on having her party at the House of Haunt on the hill. This time, he agrees and starts making a guest list. Later, we see an unseen force changing the list. The next day, 4 guests arrive at the House of Haunt for Lauren's party, but they are not the people Lauren or Stephen invited. They each received a message promising a $1 million check from Stephen to anyone who survives until the next morning. They meet a man named Watson, the property owner, who is just as confused as they are. He doesn't know anything about Stephen's invitation. As soon as they all go inside, the first thing they notice is a glass window with strange, scary faces inside. Lauren and Stephen then arrive. Lauren immediately asks, "Who are you? And where are our guests?" Right as she asks, the glass door shatters, and a man named Eddie jumps in front of it, saving her from the falling glass. Watson tells them that his father and grandfather both died while renovating the house. Hearing this, Stephen says with a smile, "Then it's certain Lauren is next." Stephen had already prepared several $1 million checks for the survivors. He tells Watson he can have one if he stays the night. Stephen also says that if anyone dies, the property will be given to its owner. He claims he doesn't know any of the guests and suspects his wife changed the guest list. Watson, horrified, says he values his life and wants to leave. When Stephen refuses to pay him, Watson tries to break a window, but finds iron bars on the other side. This is Dr. Richard's original mechanism, which trapped the patients long ago. Watson, now truly scared, explains that the house is still alive and that the souls of the patients and Dr. Richard are still there. He says they must find the mechanism to open the doors if they want to escape. Lauren, however, thinks it's all a game orchestrated by Stephen. Another guest confronts Stephen, demanding he open the doors. Stephen insists he didn't do it, but says he knows the lockdown mechanism is in the basement. Lauren gives him a gun and warns him that there might be more surprises waiting for him. 3 of the guests go down to the basement with a flashlight to find the mechanism. They get scared by strange statues in glass cages, which were used to treat the patients. Suddenly, the ceiling collapses above them. They realize there's an operator laughing at the situation. Stephen confronts the operator, who denies locking the doors. Stephen suspects Lauren is behind it. The scene cuts back to the group in the basement. They notice the basement hasn't been renovated. Stephen joins them, now also looking for the mechanism, having realized the lockdown is out of his control. They find a metal door, which Watson says can't be the mechanism. As they walk past it, a strange black shadow appears on the door. They enter a room where electric shock therapy was performed. The group splits up. One of the guests, Jennifer, turns on some lights, and Eddie, surprised by her knowledge of the place, asks her who she really is. She confesses her name is Jennifer and that Stephen paid her to pretend to be a guest. As she turns away, Eddie vanishes. She then sees someone run into the attic and Eddie jumping into a tub of blood. Horrified, she tries to pull him out, but he is suddenly standing behind her, confused by her actions. Jennifer, now terrified, runs upstairs and confronts Stephen, accusing him of trying to kill them. He denies it and says he was in the control room and just found out the mechanism isn't there. Meanwhile, another guest was recording the basement with a camera. She finds an operation room and sees Dr. Richard's ghost operating on a patient. She drops the camera and sees a ghost with a knife. It screams so loudly that her skin starts to peel off. The others upstairs hear her scream and find only a bloodstain on her camera. The last footage shows her hand being pulled away by something invisible, confirming she's dead. Lauren claps and taunts Stephen, accusing him of her death and pointing a gun at him. He initially thinks it's not loaded, but she shoots a glass, proving she's serious. Stephen, now genuinely scared, goes to his operator, only to find his face badly eaten and him dead. He checks the CCTV footage and sees Dr. Richard's ghost heading towards Lauren's room with a knife. Stephen runs to save her. The others in the group hear strange sounds and see Lauren and Ben being electrocuted. They look for the switch to turn it off, but by the time they find it, Lauren is gone. Stephen arrives, gun in hand, and accuses one of the guests of killing her. Jennifer, now distrustful of Stephen, points a gun at him, believing he's behind everything. To punish Stephen, they lock him in a saturation chamber. The machine starts to spin, causing Stephen to hallucinate. He sees a scary face in the water and passes out from the shock. The group then searches the area and finds Dr. Richard's office. There, they discover that all the guests who came were relatives of the original staff members who escaped. Watson confirms that the guest list was changed by a supernatural power. There were 5 staff members, but there are 6 people there. They realize Donald has no relation to anyone and must have been invited by the supernatural force. The scene cuts to Donald and Lauren. Lauren's dead body wakes up and kisses Donald. The big twist is revealed. The entire time, everything was a game planned by Lauren and her boyfriend, Donald, to scare the guests and frame Stephen. Their goal was to get him killed so they could inherit his property. But they are confused about the other girl's death, which wasn't part of their plan. Lauren, worried the others will blame Stephen before he can be killed, suddenly attacks and kills Donald. Later, the group finds Donald's body in the basement. Lauren's plan is to put Donald's body in the chamber and make it look like Stephen killed him. They open the chamber and find Donald's body instead of Stephen's. A girl named Sarah, armed with a gun, goes to check on the body, but Stephen, covered in blood, appears. He claims he didn't kill Donald, but she's too scared to believe him and shoots him. Back upstairs, Lauren talks to Stephen's dead body, confessing that she only married him for his money. To her shock, Stephen gets up, grabs her neck, and smashes her head against a metal door. The door breaks, and Lauren is pulled into a dark, scary room by an unseen force. Stephen is horrified, realizing this was not part of his plan. He finds the body parts of the dead girl and is confronted by a shadow of Lauren's body. He tries to run, but the door is locked. He bangs on it, and the other 3 hear him. Watson, despite his fear, opens the door. Stephen shoves him into the lobby, and the black shadow takes Watson inside. Stephen yells at Eddie and Sarah to run because the place is truly haunted. The black shadow appears in front of them, but they manage to run to the attic. Stephen finds a lever that opens the main door. He yells at them to run, but shadows try to stop them. Stephen saves Sarah just in time, pushing her out of the building. The shadows take him, and he turns into a mummified, mud-like body that crumbles into dust. Eddie is still trapped inside. He sees the faces of all the people who died there. They tell him his father was responsible for the experiments. Eddie insists he was adopted and doesn't know anything. The shadows are about to kill him, but Watson's soul appears and opens the door. Eddie escapes. In the sunlight, he finds an envelope Watson threw at him. It contains a bunch of the $1 million checks Stephen signed. Eddie and Sarah survived, their lives saved. The film ends there.